covering this probably differently than most of you guys are used to seeing this. I'm going to cover, well, we're both going to cover back to back. He'll cover his division, I'll cover my division, and we'll basically give grades for each team and let you know our perspective on how we're thinking of how people did, sleepers, who you will get on your waiver wire. And today we will start with my team. Tim, you want to give them your take on my team?
Yo, uh, first things first. Uh, the slot at the tight end. This is my pick for the year for the offensive rookie of the year, and that's going to be Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is going to have an outstanding season. Call it. I'm calling it now. Watch it happen. This guy is bringing things to the position similar to the boy Kelsey. So he is definitely going to be used as a down the field threat. And he definitely is. He's a very large target that moves very well, has very nice route running skills, and he has nice hands to go with it. So first things first, I'm noticing that Kyle Pitts, I'm hating on his quarterback selection, and he took my boy. He took my boy Herbie. He took my boy Herbie. But the running backs are definitely lock-ins as far as AK is concerned. And then there's another sleeper in Clyde Edwards Hilaire. I'm
Let them
saying that all
know.
wrong. I'm already knowing. But a lot of people don't really believe in Clyde because of the last season, but they got to remember that he was drafted to be a receiving running back. So you can definitely expect them to get his touches up in the passing game, especially with that beefed up O line. They're going to be able to hand the ball off to him and be able to switch up the game, get some play action here or there. And they're not going to want to load the box. They're not going to. So please expect him to find those holes, especially with the O line being buffed up. Then you got McLaurin. That's a nice solid pick. Julio Jones. He's an interesting pick mainly because a lot of people are kind of like writing him off. Like people weren't jumping on him like how I thought, especially in the draft. He kind of fell down to you. It seemed like, but you can definitely expect Julio Jones to be the play action, stretch the field guy out there in Tennessee. They love to run the ball, but they also love to do play action with Tannehill out there. Then you have DeAndre Swift in the flex role. That's a solid pickup. The Niners defense. Um, we discussed this earlier, and I believe you told me that it
I'm
was
not
a it
happy
was
with it.
more it was a more of a forced role. It was a forced push, but they're going to be able to get to the pass rusher. They're getting Bosa back, so you can expect that front seven to be able to do what you expect the Niners to do. Your kicker is your kicker. Now this bench is where you made
Wait.
a lot of interesting picks. You got Joe Burrow as your secondary quarterback. Jalen Waddle. A lot of people might not be giving him enough attention, but you
Me too.
cannot understate him and Tua's connection, especially with the fact that they played together in college. They're not going to have that necessary, that gap like most quarterbacks and receivers are going to have. And he's a speedster. He's going to blow the top off of the defense. Uh, Smith out there in New England, we don't know how that's all going to work with, Tom Brady
Sneaky
or Brees,
pick.
but he is definitely a sneaky pick. I do
New
like the
England
DJ
loves them
Clark.
tight ends.
I do love the DJ Clark pickup in Jacksonville, especially with them having Sunshine out there under center. And if you don't know who Sunshine is, if you're gonna sit up here and tell me that Trevor Lawrence doesn't look like Sunshine from Remember the Titans, I might be showing my age right now, but Sunshine from Remember the Titans, Google
You
it.
think so he took over Sunshine over your boy?
Oh yeah, he's Herbie now. He's Herbie. Uh, Callaway's a nice pickup, especially with Thomas being down. Michael Carter, that's an interesting pickup, and as well as the Elijah Moore pickup with the Jets. Those are definitely your two most interesting pickups on your entire roster. Mainly because like 36% for Elijah Moore as being roster slotted in most leagues, and then under 1% being started. So that's it's a very interesting pick. Um, this is a very solid draft class you have here. But you have a lot of flexible moving pieces here. So we'll see how this rolls.
So
Definitely love the tight end pickup and your quarterback and your running backs. Your running backs are probably going to lead your charge.
bro. And like just going into it, like the thing that I'm most excited for with my team is my bench. Like we talked about it earlier. I probably got the offensive rookie of the year on my team. I just don't know who it is. Like I got firepower for days and they're all rookies and I'm excited for that. There's a lot of potential there and I hope it just lives up to the hype.
Very true. Very, very, very true. He has like that Waddle pickup. That's a very nice pickup. You have Callaway. You got Pitts. Pitts is Pitts is bet a very sure and lock in. Let's just say Matt Ryan's gonna love him, especially with Julio Jones being
Oh
gone.
yeah.
And he
Oh
brings a
yeah.
lot of things to the table that Julio did. So it's definitely a solid pickup. The fact that more people aren't starting him in the league probably means that they have alternative tight ends in that slot. But still, 97% of people have actually drafted him and have him in their roster entirely.
You ready for the fun part?
Oh, it's the fun part.
I'm about to get in on your team.
They're going to switch over this.
Yep. Timothy. It's the Paris Poop Troop.
Oh yeah, we got to come up with something, something that'll make you go, why? Why would you pick that? When we win, you know why.
Oh, I didn't even see your Abby. How'd you do that?
Gotta love the power of Google.
But let's dive into it. I'll give you my perspective, and maybe we can go one on one, and let's see if you agree with what I'm saying. Okay.
Let's see. Let's see.
So the Kyler Murray pick, I ain't mad at it. I had him last year, so I'll tell you what he will do for you. He can give you 30 to 40 plus games. The thing I want to see from Kyler a lot this year is the progression. He's got the weapons. I think what helps out now is that D Hop isn't going to be double team like crazy because you got AJ Green on the other side now. Last year, like I said,
Yes.
he gives you 30 plus points of fantasy, but there was times where he let me down and only gave me like 12. Hopefully he doesn't do that for you, but we'll see. As for Dalvin, I love Dalvin. I think he gets a bad rap a lot because people consider him injury prone and he's played in 14 plus games the last 2 seasons. Yeah, it's not every game, but if you miss 2 games, you should have another solid depth running back behind him to help you. And he's still getting over 1,000 yards. I don't think ever since he tore his ACL, people are like, "Oh, he's injury prone." That's gotta fall off.
Yeah.
And I know you want to dive into it. I'll dive into it a little bit as well. But you want to tell the people why you took Mike Davis and how early you took him?
Oh yes. Oh yes. This is gonna shock most people, but I actually took Mike Davis with my fourth. I believe my
Mm-hmm.
fourth pick. But hear me out on this. Hear me out. Mike Davis is the Atlanta Falcons running back. He is the primary target. He is going to be getting the bulk of the carries. Now, with their new acquisition of the offensive coordinator from Tennessee, we know how he likes to play. He likes to run the ball. There's no other back in that backfield that will, outside of if he needs some water. You can expect Mike Davis to get the bulk of those carries, and I think he's going to have him a nice year as far as volume is consumed or volume is considered. He is
And
definitely my sleeper pick on my entire roster.
and like I said, like we talked about it, I don't argue the pick whatsoever. Like I'm kind of salty because I was probably gonna take him early. In my aspect, I thought I was gonna take him early. I was gonna take him like in the 6th round because like he is a starter. And for you fans last year who paid attention, he was a hot waiver wire pickup when Christian McCaffrey got hurt. He's a very solidified runner and he's good. So I think that'll be a sneaky pick for everyone. My only concern is if, which clicks in my head a lot too, why it makes sense is if Atlanta will run the ball like that, but you got to think about who their coach is. Like he's coming from Tennessee. What does Tennessee love to do? Run that
The ball.
rock. So I think they will be. I don't think it'll be as heavy because Matt Ryan does throw the ball, but I think Atlanta, what they struggled with a lot in the past too as well. We're all used to betting on the Falcons and they be up like 21 points and lose every game. They need to solidify a run game, and I think this is the way they'll do it. And now
Yes.
let's jump into your wide receivers. You got Stephon and Keenan. I already know why you chose Keenan. You're in love with him, so won't go too much into that. But
I
the
had I had to.
Stephon, the Stephon, I think he will be a great receiver. I just don't know if he'll be a top 3 receiver as he was last year. I do love the pick, and Josh Allen does throw the ball like crazy. It's just the production. I don't know if it'll be top notch as last year. Keenan, I think, might be your better receiver in this league just for the fact it's a PPR league, and Keenan Allen gets like 8 catches a game, it seems like. So that's a stud. I will question your tight end, and I don't know how comfortable you were with it. And let me look down your roster to see you got Hunter Henry. How do you feel about Austin Hooper? Because I know he's got potential, but it's just like he's got potential every year, but he doesn't live up to that hype.
It's one of those. Baker Mayfield is in a contract year and he
Mhm.
has a large amount of weapons. And if you pay close enough attention to the Browns, they were in that goal line right around that 20-yard, 30-yard mark from the touchdown. And they're gonna be in that position a lot more than you might think. So they're gonna want to go to their big bodied receivers compared to their studs on the outside. So if I'm right on this, Hooper has him a nice solid year. But to be honest, I was picking him based on, I was forced. My pickups were gone. Everyone was taking tight ends right around the same time as my strategy was coming out to take those tight ends because I was focusing mainly on attaining, the skill positions, the running backs and the wide receivers.
No, I feel it. And like I said, we talked about it. I think the tight end strategy got messed up real early when Travis Kelsey went early in the first round.
Yeah, someone
And
took Travis Kelsey with their first pick.
which is crazy, but your bench, uh, mm, the only, I guess, sexy pick you will say, which I won't be surprised, and I kind of want to bank on it right now. Matthew Stafford will probably be your starting quarterback in the month October through. I think you might want to lean on him more than Kyler. That's a stretch, but I don't know. I like him with the Rams.
Right. Right. Only bad part about I would say that is that they're in the same division.
True.
So you're gonna have to pick between your two quarterbacks when they meet up twice a year. But I
Very
think the
true.
benefit of having that is whoever has that better game. I have both guys, so I'll be able to switch it in or out.
Which defense? Oh,
Matthew
my bad.
Matthew Stafford is definitely a sleeper, a sleeper pick for me, honestly, because he's always proven that he can make it happen. But the Lions weren't
The
always the
Lions.
most complete team. They're the Lions. Let's be real. But having him with a creative, innovative head coach and Sean McVay out there in LA, and then having all those receivers at his disposal, let's be real. Matthew Stafford's gonna sling the rock.
But you see,
He has no choice but to.
you see how deadly. Like, and I was just looking at this, and I'm probably gonna look at it for everyone now. And I'll ask you one more question about your team after this. But my bench was projected like 75 points, and yours is only 49. My bench is deadly. But my last curious question I wanted to get into: which defense do you strongly prefer? Do you riding hard on the Bucks, or did you get the Browns to hopefully surpass them and be your new defense on your team?
All right. So every season, if you haven't paid attention, every time we play in fantasy, my strategy is strongly to pick two
Mhm.
strong, solid defenses. Like I want to say the last 2 years, I had the top three. Two, I had two defenses, and I had two of the top three defenses in all of fantasy. And it allows you to be able to switch in and out and be able to get those points. Last year, especially with having what did I have? I had the Ravens, and I had let's say the Steelers. What's the Bucks? I want to say it was the Steelers, and you saw what they did last year.
I know
Same
you
thing with
always
the
have two
Bucks,
strong defenses.
right? So with the Bucks, they returned all their starters, so like they stay healthy. You can please expect them to match up very well. Their linebackers are blazing fast. They sideline to sideline. Their front seven in general is pretty solid. Uh, if I had to say, it'd be on the back end, but at the same time, the fact that they're bringing all the same guys and they literally just went to the mountaintop, they're riding that momentum into the season. So, barring crazy injuries and stuff like that,
Barring
the
they run
Bucks would
into
be a solid
Mahomes again.
pick, right? But the Browns, honestly, I believe in the Browns more than most people might think. They're literally that team that is like once they figure it out mentally and they all get on the same wavelength, the Browns are dangerous. We were literally talking about the same thing earlier. The Browns are like the team that tends to like shoot themselves in the foot. They're like the best team in the league on paper when you
They
look
got
at
the
it.
best
Look at
roster,
them, right, position to position. They have it. They have talent
and
at
that's coming
every
from a
slot.
Chiefs fan.
Especially starting with their O line and with offense. You know it starts in the trenches, which
Yeah,
the whole game starts within the trenches. They don't really always give the credit to the big boys up front, but they have the best line in the league, and a lot of them are still returning. So the Browns are one of those teams that when they figure it out, they're going to be scary. And then
yeah.
they're in a division that allows them to do what they do. So as long as they beat out the Steelers, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I like your team a lot. I give it it's a very solid rating as well. The only thing it's iffy, and you probably feel the same, is your tight end, and then after Stafford, your bench. I think you might do a lot of rotating around with that in the future, but you got pieces that can pan out, but we just got to see how it ends up being. Like Ty can be something, but that just depends on how healthy Carson Wentz will be, and Hunter
Right.
Henry if he could stay healthy as well. I just realized you got three tight ends. Like,
Right. That was a force. That was
yeah,
a forced thing. But Evan Ingram was more I was looking at him as a flex option. I wasn't looking at him necessarily as a tight end. I was looking at him as them using him as a basically a larger receiver
yeah,
because
and he's
he
another one
runs
that's
his
got to prove
routes and he
himself.
moves. Right. And he's in that prove it stage. So, especially him and the guy throwing it to him. So you can expect Ingram put up or shut up this season pretty much.
You ready to hop into this next team?
Oh yeah, let's get into this.
Is there anyone you in particular want to dive into?
Uh
Look at him.
if I had to say, it would be Chris's team,
Oh, this is gonna be
Makula.
fun.
It's to the right.
So while diving into this, and I'll let the viewers know as well. So just so you know, so we kind of don't make this too long of a video for you guys. But what me and Tim are gonna do here, we're one interesting thing and one thing we dislike from every team in our league, and we'll go
Yeah,
from there.
yeah.
Tim, you want to kick it off and see what you like? I'll pull the whole screen so you see his whole squad.
All right. So with the guy I'm currently looking at, Makula's team, he has an infatuation with his Raiders. And don't get me wrong, there's
Tell
nothing
me
wrong with
again.
loving your team, but when it comes to fantasy, you can end up making some bad emotional decisions. But his best pickups to me were his quarterback and his running back. I honestly believe that run CMC, he looks very nice coming back off of that injury. It looked like it didn't really slow him down too much, but he's so versatile that unless it was like something that he couldn't walk again, you're not really gonna stop him. You can only slow him down. He's one of those type of players.
And that matchup week
Yeah,
one.
right. He has the Jets coming right out of the gate. So he has the benefit there. He has Rob Gronkowski, so he's gonna get the points from Tom Brady if he's tossing into to Rob. As you know it, they're the best 1-2 punch when it comes to tossing the rock that there is. Outside of that, um, his Washington defense pickup, I will
Solid.
say that I like that.
My
They're
favorite.
very solid. They're very solid.
If I'll dive
I
into
do
this,
not I do not get why he picked three quarterbacks
I just
though.
saw that and I was going to call that out. It's like I want to see how he drafted, and I might have to ask him in the chat. Um, I feel like he wanted Derek Carr so badly on his team. I think that's what it was. I don't know. And another thing, like I'm not gonna hold it against anyone or your draft strategy or whatsoever. I can understand to a point when you're drafting two defenses. Tim explained it perfectly why you would do it. The two kickers is where it's gonna throw me off. You're gonna lose a roster spot, and
Yeah,
it's another Raider player, Chris. I love you, man, but what you doing? And
yeah.
I'll talk about your sneaky picks. And I think if Odell is very healthy, like you got the quarterback and Baker as well, if he is Odell, like he will be solid for you. And if Josh Allen can come out in the MVP, these four right here will carry your team easily. And then that solid defense.
Yeah, yeah,
I expect Josh
yeah, yeah,
Jacobs to bounce back well.
definitely.
That's probably my favorite Raider pick you have.
Sleeper pick on that squad would be Claypool, as far as his
I'm so
that
indifferent
it's
with
either
that
him or Chase. It's either him or Chase because he also did
because
pick up Jamar Chase.
yeah, I like Jamar Chase. When you said Chase, I'm like Chase Claypool. What did you talk about? But no, um, um, but I'm so different with Chase Claypool just because I don't know. I feel like if anyone's gonna have a sophomore slump, it could be him. But it all
Yeah,
just
yeah,
depends on Big Ben as well. Like,
yeah, yeah,
is he fully healthy? Is Pittsburgh gonna try to establish a passing game? They're not known for that. That's why we'll figure out. I don't remember, and I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but I love Najee Harris. He's gonna touch
yes.
the ball 25 times a game, so he's
He
solid for
should
right now.
definitely. He should definitely touch the rock. It would actually pan out better for them to actually play the play action and kind of go from there.
You're right. But who are the? Is he the? Well, their receivers need to step up big because like they all kind of had an off year. Chase was the only one who was like mediocre, but like Juju had a fell off. Deontay Johnson, James Washington. That Pittsburgh offense suffered last year, and it's weird because they started the season off 11-0, but that was just because they got a really good defense.
Yeah, and a very nice schedule as well.
All
All
right,
right,
you ready for this? I
we're
know
gonna
you're
move into
ready
this
for it.
next team.
Yeah, let's just go on. Let's go. Let's go in order. We're gonna go on with Chupapi Manano.
That's a butchered way to say it. We're not intentionally trying to butcher this. This is just probably
I ain't
weird
butchering
spelling.
nothing. I said it correctly.
And we can start off first with this Dak pick. Now,
Oh, you
as
wanted
you
to
can
dive right
see,
in. Go for it. Take it.
right, right. With Dak, he's in the air. If he's Dak, he's Dak. It pans out. He's rostered at 98% of most rosters they have him. His starting rate is at 82%, which is very interesting. People have him, but there are some people that are not going to start him. It's probably because they have a better option. Jonathan Taylor, he's a safe pick, even if Carson Wentz doesn't pan out like how everybody is hoping for him to. You can still just always hand the ball off. A quarterback's best friend is actually a running back. Justin Jefferson, I like the pick, even though he might have some health concerns coming into this first week. His best pick, which is also his funniest pick of all of them, is Travis Kelsey being his first overall pick,
So you want to
as
know what's
well as yeah,
you want to know what's so funny about this? Like I messaged him, and he was on auto draft, but I think he did the smart auto draft thing because when you auto draft, you can actually set people in your lineup to make sure you get them.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because Joe is a big Dallas fan, and from the Dak pick and the CD Lamb pick, I'm like, okay, like he's auto draft, but these are the players he want, and he likes Kelsey too, and it just
yeah,
all
yeah,
clicks in
yeah, yeah,
very well.
yeah.
Like I
If you're
think he
looking
did
at
it smart.
his projections at 130. If that pans out, especially with all his skill players. Now Antonio Gibson, that's in the air. That's hit or
Yeah,
miss. But he is
and
definitely a hot pickup for a lot of people out here in the fantasy world.
what he going to need to get a backup quarterback. Like same thing with the real Dallas Cowboys.
Right. He has a lot of receivers on this team. I like
Because
T. Higgins. I like Coop. I like the Cup.
I
I like Cooper
love
Cup.
Coop with Stafford, as we mentioned with you. Like
Right,
that's a
right.
great pickup. And I'm
Now
gonna
this dude
no go on
Leveshki. I'm
Lavishka.
butchering that. Lavishka. Lavishka is a very solid pickup in out there in Jacksonville and having Sunshine out there tossing the rock. He has some very nice targets to throw
It's
to.
funny he
Marvin
got both
Jones
of them.
Jr. Yeah, he's like the microwave. Marvin Jones Jr. is like the Clay Thompson of the NFL.
Yeah, I think
When he's
better.
hot, he's hot. He's hot. He's hot. And there's nothing you can do. He gets it hot. But
You
definitely those two that wide receiver core out there in Jacksonville is a little overlooked, I believe.
oh yeah. You want to know what I was really salty about this pick? I was salty about Dak. You want to know why? Because
Why?
So who's my backup? See, I'm already struggling. Oh, Joe Burrow. So that pick was forced too. I'm not even gonna lie, but I love Burrow, and if he comes back healthy, it's a really solid pick for me. But Joe picked right before me, and if Dak could be my backup quarterback and he's healthy, like that's
hmm
amazing. And that's what I
hmm
was hoping for. Having Herbert and then having Dak Prescott, I would be in a situation where I wouldn't know who to start on a weekly basis if Dak was healthy. And then, Joe go pull this.
I will say this with Dak Prescott, with their week 1 matchup, you're going to be able to instantly
Oh
be
yeah.
able to tell if Dak is that he's going to get tested week 1. The
Oh yeah.
Bucks are coming for him. That
Oh yeah.
their front seven, those dudes are coming for him. And if that line doesn't hold up, if anything doesn't hold up, and he's pressured and he can't set his feet and throw like how we know Dak can throw, he let's just say he's going to get tested. He's going to get tested out there in Tampa.
He most definitely will. And as for that, let's dive into our next team, which I think if it was correct, it was. Trust me, kids, these are real paper planes. It's not what you be thinking. We talking Jimmy Babu.
Mr.
Uh,
Mr. Babu.
of
Not
course, he
not
got
not
my
to be
guy,
confused with Erica. Not to be confused with Erica Badu.
right? Not to be
But
confused at all. But,
right.
but all right, Tim, you already know
All
what
right.
I'm going to talk about, so try to pick something
Right.
different. All right.
If you can't tell from Chris's video feed, in the back on his walls are a lot of Chief greats. And let's be real, there's no bigger Chief than the Master Chief, Patrick Mahomes. That O line out there, if that all pans out like how they're expecting them to pan out, Patrick Mahomes is going to have another MVP level season. I'm gonna just go ahead and just end it right there with that. James Robinson and Leonard Leonard Fournette. I'm butchering names today. I'm beyond butchering
Leonard.
names. Mr. Fournette and Robinson out there. Those are some solid back pickups.
And hold
Um,
up, before I let me cut you off real quick because I know James is a Jaguars fan, but with Travis Etienne being out for the year, that is a
yeah,
really good pick. Like with
right.
Etienne
Solid.
hurting himself in
Very solid.
preseason, that's solid.
Very, very solid pick. And we're seeing like his plus minus is starting to go up slightly because it wasn't moving at all. It was very in the middle of the road. But I can honestly see James Robinson being picked up more if he's not already rostered, but 94% being rostered and
He's gonna be
60% being
started and more,
started.
if anything.
Right. But that Fournette, I mean, it's hit or miss on that. That's
It's like
more of
how
like a
it's what we talked
play
about.
scheme fit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fournette, Bernard, and Jones. You just don't know.
Yeah, you just don't. But they're gonna get good use out of that. Mike Evans, solid pick. Darren Waller is probably his best pick on there. Sleeper pick is AJ Green out there in
Sleeper.
Arizona. Not gonna
Sleeper.
lie, it was the main reason why I picked Murray is because he has two of the best wide receivers we've seen in the last couple of years. Even though AJ Green had a little fall off period, but AJ Green was still doing AJ Green things even though they weren't panning out as how they were panning out. Now, if he comes in there and he's healthy, you can expect him to get a lot of those one-on-one matchups because you can't you got to pick your poison. You got Hopkins, you got Green, and they're both good at a lot of the similar. They're very similar, but we know the edge is going to be going to Hopkins. But if AJ Green is AJ Green, that's a scary offense out there in
And I don't
Arizona.
want to compare it, but like you gotta retract. Like AJ Green's good. I don't. A lot of people gonna get offended, but I'm gonna go here. Um, he is what Fitzgerald was in his younger years. Like that's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
Fitzgerald and Bolden. Now you got
yeah, yeah.
Hopkins and Green. That's what
There
they
you go.
were when they were
There you
successful and
go.
went to the Super Bowl.
Yep, yep, yep. There you go. There you go. There you go. Right there.
And
That's exactly.
you see this 8.8 projection. This will be the last time he'll ever be projected in single digits. I guarantee that.
Oh, you think so? I think that's more so because of the matchup. Tennessee is very solid out there.
And
They
I think
bring
they're
the
going to
team.
focus on Hopkins, and he might go off.
Right. An interesting pick is gonna be
All of
the
them.
guy. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. The fact that he has Justin Fields and Sunshine, if you have not caught on to who Sunshine is Trevor Lawrence. I'm not gonna say his real name. I'm not. He's Sunshine to me forever.
what
Sunshine, and then he has Justin Fields.
What's funny is he always does this. Even when he was a free agent, you guys, James always goes for Antonio Brown. He loves him. he
Yes.
even when he was a free agent going through his allegations, he's on James's bench regardless.
But let's be real, like the fantasy world, 81% of people have him on his roster. So like in
Very true.
20% of the leagues, he's a free agent. And then he's only being started 10% of the time. Like that's interesting.
And I also
Uh
want to clue the fans in on this too as well because they're probably questioning one big pick. Is this Kadarius Tony?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
just
yeah,
because
yeah.
he's a Florida fan, guys.
Very true.
He
He's a
he is the
Swiss Army
point
knife
too.
out there. He's a very Swiss Army knife. That's a nice flex option, to be honest with you. I think he
I'm not.
still has to adjust his roster, but
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Tony's definitely a Swiss Army knife kind of guy.
I'm not gonna disagree with it. What I have to see, I don't think he'll be more implemented in the system until probably November. I will say that
Later in the
Be-
year,
because I don't know. I think the Giants got to find a lot of things. Giants got a good receiving core as well. What they got: Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard, Ingram, Kadarius Tony, Daniel Jones got to prove himself. They got a lot of young pieces. They need to find what's right.
yeah, yeah. If I had to give this one a grade, I'm gonna go with a C, like a C plus. It's mainly
It,
because the bench is just it's kind of all over the place. You could have
exactly.
filled in more with your skill players.
His starters are solid. But if you
Yes,
ever had to depend on any of these guys,
aka bye weeks. Yeah,
yeah, and which damn, hold up, let me see something. I thought it put it on the side. Oh well, I thought it showed the bye weeks. It probably shows them more in the matchup. We could go more in depth with it. If he has anyone on the matching bye weeks, I already know you have Fournette and Evans on the same bye week. So
yeah. So you have to switch out those guys. Those are
yeah,
performers. So
he gonna be.
we'll see.
I know, and I want to ask him. Oh, by the way, we didn't talk about, and it's no disrespect whatsoever. Rams defense can be the best one in the league, honestly. Like it's a scary
Very true.
defense.
Very.
Like what he did, he got the best quarterback. He you can say arguably, I will add it in there. Darren Waller is arguably the best tight end. You can have that up for debate. The Rams, the best defense and the best kicker in the league. He's got a solid starting team.
Very solid. Very, very solid. It's that bench though. You know,
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
be able to
And
move
you got one of
pieces
the
in
worst bench.
fantasy, people. You got to be flexible in fantasy. It kind of goes together. Flexibility and fantasy.
But
We're
again,
not talking about what you might think.
uh, I'll close it off with this and I want to hear your thoughts. When does this boy start?
Who are we talking about?
Fields.
Justin Fields. If they're smart, they bring him along in due time. But to be real, that's not how the NFL is structured right now. They just bring him in and they kind of throw him into the fire and see who
I'm surprised
floats.
he's
They
not
try
starting
to
right away.
like Justin Fields is a very solid pick. He's a very solid pick. If he wins over that locker room, like a lot of people are, pretty much presuming that he does, like he can bring another level of intensity to that offense. And they kind of missed that when they had Mr. Biscuit out there.
Yeah,
So
and
I definitely think that Fields draft pick in general was a nice pickup. I was loving that on draft day.
I just
Not too many.
my bad, but I
Not too,
just hate that Dalton is the same as Trubisky, so I don't know why with Matt Nagy being in a make or break year, you might as well just throw the house and be like, let's see what the rookie got. I know you don't normally like to do that, and I know Nagy was with the Chiefs when Smith and Mahomes, but this could be your last year as a coach. You know Dalton's ceiling. Fields could take you much further.
very true. Very true. Very true. Dalton's a solid backup kind of guy. Say if
Yeah.
anything were to go wrong, he's a solid guy.
All right. You ready for it? Let's see. Let's see. Let's see.
Move on to this next one.
Britrian. Sorry,
Why
I
you
called you
do
by
that
your
one?
government. I be doing that,
By,
Brit.
by
The
the full
hot
on,
Vegas
full on.
Death Riders. So, this is
Yikes.
my week one matchup. And before I dive into any of this, I'm talking to you, Britt. I'm going to need you to watch this video. You were so salty. He had the last pick in the draft. He ended up with a really great team. Like, there's nothing to be angry about. I love his team. Um, um, do I need to break the news, or do you want to break the news, Tim?
All right, so
That's
there
what I thought.
there's a good point in all of this, but I'm gonna go ahead and like kind of kill your dreams with Mr. Dobbins. As we speak, he was basically carried off of the field, and it from the looks of it, he looked like Saquon last year. He's probably not coming back, and how far his knee went backwards. Eee.
Mm,
So that J.K. Dobbins pick is like completely null and void. But here's the good caveat for you, my guy. You are very high in the waiver wire, and if you were smart, you would go get
don't give him
Mr.
the
Gus
name.
Edwards. I can't. I mean, I'm last on the waiver wire, so I might as well just give out that gem. And it's not even just to him, to anybody who is listening out there, and you're trying to find a nice, good pickup. Mr. Gus Edwards is going to be a solid alternative back out there in Baltimore. You can please expect him to have his carries and his touches to go up.
Very solid. Like, you guys know, Ravens don't believe in throwing the football, so you might as well get the running back. Like, it's solid. But diving
It's
into
very
Britt's team, even if J.K. Dobbins was healthy, just the four he has there, and Lamar, Nick Chubb, Dobbins, and Hill, throw Godwin in there as well. Like, that's a solid starting lineup. It's very good. Me and Tim talked about it. Noah Font, this has got to be, what is this, a contract year for him? Because like feels like he's been in
yes.
the league too long and not done anything.
Yeah. He has to. He's definitely has to live up to what he was putting down out there in college. He definitely has all the tools. So it's a matter of him putting all the pieces together. Now his bench leaves a lot to be desired. Mr. Ertz and Tanny Hill as a alternative. And if you don't understand Mr. Ertz, it's Zach Ertz as a tight end out there in Philadelphia. Yeah,
I'm
definitely solid
surprised.
pick.
I'm
Uh,
surprised unless it
Jarvis
was
Landry.
my bad. No, go on.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry is a very solid pickup. Even though he's only going to be started, it seems like from the numbers, 15% of people are starting him to coming out this first week, but 85% of them have him rostered. So Landry was a nice pick, and the best part about it was I want to say he got him in like the last 2 rounds, and he literally picked right before me, and I was going to take Landry, so I'm a little salty about that. And he's
Again,
another one. He has multiple kickers.
yeah. I just don't get it. Like, you can literally, and I'm gonna have to pick people's minds because if you have a strong kicker, like let's say, which he's a Broncos fan, let's say you're in love with McManus, and let's say I'll pick it out right here. I don't even think Cole Beasley will be on the team because he's doing all this COVID nonsense. You could literally
Yeah,
cut him later down the line, get a kicker, and then cut the kicker later on.
very true. Very
I
true.
so
That's
in
most of the time.
the thing with Cole Beasley too is like when he plays, he's a very good. He could be a flex position, but I know you guys see what he's doing. This Twitter rants about COVID. He's a distraction, so I don't know if he'll be on the team or not. And that's a risky pick in my eye.
Yeah, if it pans out, he plays. He's Cole Beasley. He's gonna do what he does. He's a bit of a security blanket out there for Allen. He dumps it off to him a lot. He gets
Yeah.
open. I like the Saints defense. Their front seven is their front
Uh,
seven.
yeah.
Those guys are those guys get to the quarterback.
Bounty hunters.
Um, yeah. If I had to give this one a solid grade, I'd probably go again with another C.
Yeah.
Uh, his eventually, yet again, most people's draft strategies kind of seem a little off putting. It doesn't seem like there's like much into it, and kind of a lot of things are forced. So I
Yeah,
will
and
say
that's like
his starting lineup is he got some hitters on there. He got some hitters
what's
outside of
always
JK.
so what's
Outside of JK.
always so hard in fantasy football is you got to know who you're drafting with. You got to know the people you're drafting with because they know you as well. So you got to know
Exactly.
their favorite teams. You got to know their strategy because most draft off of their favorite teams. So that's going to mess your game plan up 100% of the time. And two, what I've seen a lot down the line, and I'm not here to like brag or anything, but like I said, I was looking at the points. I got like one of the best benches out there. And I feel like a lot of
Here
people
we
are
go.
stuck on their starting lineup. But like Tim mentioned earlier, once those bye weeks come, those can make you lose some games.
Very true. Very true. You got to be, like I said, flexibility and fantasy go hand in hand. And no, we're not talking about that kind of fantasy. We're talking about football fantasy. You got to be flexible with your roster. You got to be able to move pieces out in and out, especially when you have certain matchups. Like last year, a lot of people's strategy was whoever is playing the the Miami Dolphins. Remember that year when
Yeah,
everybody was just
yeah.
literally, if they were
Pick up
playing
the
the
defense.
Dolphins, they would literally pick up whoever was playing against that defense, and 9 times out of 10, they had a great game. So it was a very successful strategy. I wonder how it's going to work this season and see if it's going to be one of those teams where it's like a throwaway game, but you're going to be in those waiver wires trying to pick up those free agents or make those trades.
So you ready to
Now
get into
here,
this Sin City
oh
cock punch?
yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is probably one of my favorite teams, and it was kind of funny because this guy had so many technical difficulties trying to get into the draft, and
I'm thankful for him.
he came out with an extraordinarily solid team. Like it's very very solid. A lot of people are probably not going to believe that Saquon's going to come back and be who Saquon is, but I have to bet. I have to bet on the fact if I was going to put my money on it, Saquon's going to be Saquon. Russell Wilson is probably a very very sure thing, but at the same time, you know, if something catastrophic happened, then it's bad.
Hold
But
up real quick.
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah, yeah.
cut you off because I want to say it first. Calvin Ridley's the top 5 fantasy receiver this year. Done.
Yes, 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 yes. Definitely, he's definitely going to be looking to blow the top off of the defense, especially on those play action routes. And the fact that he's one of those guys that runs routes extraordinarily well. He really does stick and move very well out there in Atlanta. I think that's probably his best skill set. The fact like he does that better than anything else. He runs his routes very well, and that's what separates him from the pack. Amari Cooper, you know,
I don't
uh,
know how I feel.
you just don't know what to feel. You don't know what you're going to get with him. Mark
I feel like
Andrews,
that's
solid
CD
pick.
Lamb's receiving core now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But that also could benefit Cooper because if they're not paying
It could.
attention to him, they
It
could
could benefit Michael Gallup too.
true. You could pay the price. So Dallas has a lot of things going out there, but we all know it begins and starts with Dak, and before Dak, can they get those things straightened out on that line? They had a lot of retire. They
Oh, he
had
likes the skinny
their
wide
center retire.
receivers.
Yeah, yeah, he has, and this is probably the best and or worst part about his team is the fact that he has all these wide receivers, but the wide receivers that he has allows him to be extraordinarily flexible, and that is probably my favorite part about his team.
I'm
He
surprised Deshaun
has
Jackson is not on here. He drafts them every year.
right. Chris Carson on the bench. That's a very solid pickup. Very solid pickup. 97% owned it in the leagues. Cortland Sutton. He's the number one target out there in Denver. Let's not pretend. Devonta Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner. Now, it seems like in the fantasy world, 87% of people are actually picking him up. Let's be real. Things pan out. Devonta Smith is Devonta Smith. He's another one of those guys that runs routes very well. He does
Yeah,
a lot of things very well.
he'll be a number one
In college,
receiver.
right, very true. Like in college, he kind of like if you blinked enough times while watching Alabama, you'd be like, "Is that Jerry Rice? No, it's not Jerry Rice. Can't be Jerry Rice." He looked that good. He just really did. He really earned that Heisman Trophy.
Faster than
Debo
Jerry.
Samuel, right? Debo Samuel is another
I
one of those
love it.
flex guys. He's very flexible. Marquise Brown, Hollywood, another flexible guy. Curtis Samuel, another flexible guy, and AJ Dillon. Probably the most interesting pick on his entire roster. That's probably
I
because
got so
it
many
was auto
questions
drafted.
about that. Just
Yeah, yeah. I
because,
think that was mostly because it was auto drafted.
well, not even that, but not even him, but just in general. I mean, he's not crazy. Like 69, 70% of the people are doing it. Um,
hmm
I don't know why though. Like, do they feel Green Bay is gonna implement more of a run game? And at that, doesn't that help Aaron Jones? Like, I know there's a reason they drafted AJ Dillon, but until I see it, I'm not putting him on my roster.
I think they're going to do that, running back by committee kind of thing. And a lot of
Well, the
people are
Aaron
banking on
Jones
AJ.
owners would hate that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But it'd be really good if you had both of them. Now,
True.
if you were targeting the Green Bay, backfield in your fantasy strategy at all, you would want to have both. If you can grab both, because according to this, he's only owned by 70%. So 30% of the people out there, you should be looking to acquire him as a waiver wire pickup if it does pan out.
And that's the same with like if they're trying to, which it can be exactly the same, is in Cleveland. If you do a Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you have to have both of them because you don't know what's going to happen any week.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this would definitely have to be probably like a higher up on this list. It'd be a B plus, flirting with that
Oh
A
yeah,
minus.
yeah, no, 100%. And I don't know how you say it, but I don't know how they did it last year, but we split our money, but he was a co-winner, so of the league last year. All right, now we got Team Money Bag Yo Mama.
Look. That's my favorite part about fantasy in general is the names that people come up with. That's probably the best part about fantasy is the names that people come up with.
And this
Let's
one,
let's let's get
which
into this guy.
I get so frustrated with you, Key, because every year you'd be putting your thing on auto draft and you'd be saying you're gonna win.
I mean, ooh, let's
His
be
quarterback is so
real.
questionable.
I think the fact like he was able to wait on his quarterback because of some of the pickups that he did have. Now Zeke, that's a solid pickup. Najee
If
Harris, that's a solid pickup.
you get the Zeke from last year,
No, not with all the fumbles and whatnot. But like I said, Dak, it begins and ends with Dak. If Dak's out there shredding up, secondaries, then that opens up, Zeke to do what Zeke does. Um, Devontae Adams, let's be real, he was the
yeah, best
scariest
receiver,
wide receiver in the league last year.
him and Hill.
AJ Brown, AJ Brown was out there muscling people. You couldn't do nothing with him. TJ Hawkinson, he was a very solid tight end. I had him
He
last
came
year.
on strong last year at the end.
Yes, yes, yes. He closed out very nicely. David Montgomery. I like
Ooh,
him with Fields. I like him with Fields as a starting quarterback, especially if they're going to do a lot of RPO kind of things. Colts defense, solid. Their front seven is their strongest facet in that. Miles Sanders, flex pickup. DJ Moore, solid
hold up.
pickup.
I
Sam
want
Darnold is going to be looking for a number one target, and DJ Moore, where better else could you start off with him?
to get into this bench real quick because there's two which can be, I think, starting material for him, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's the boy in Denver, Javonte Williams. I think he's gonna what I said, not right away, but Denver's going to implement him in that run game, and they're going to realize how explosive and how good he is. Melvin Gordon's job going to be lost. Philip Lindsay basically almost did that to him last year, and then
Yeah, yeah.
an- another one, Sony Michelle. New Rams running backs got hurt. Cam Akers, Daryl Henderson. They traded for
Hmm.
Sony Michelle. If you see him available in your league, which 50%, I'm angry about this because I was going to go get him.
Yeah, right.
Um,
50% of people have picked him up.
he's gonna be a starting running back. Go get him. Go get him.
It's just that simple. Go get him. It's like you getting some water. Go get the water.
Like you just gotta like, what's his name? Oh, Sean McVay, the coach. He loves his
Yeah,
running
yeah.
back. He made Cam Akers a stud last year. Look what he's done with Todd Gurley. Like Sony Michelle fits that offense very well. Like, and look, this speaks for itself. So 53%, but this plus 47%, that means he was only owned in 6% of the leagues like 3 days ago. And then that trade hit. People seeing it coming. So you better hurry up because he's about to be 100% owned.
Yeah, if he's not already owned, grab him, especially if you're higher up in those waiver wires. Definitely pick him up. That's another very solid one. That's another
Yeah, even though it was
this is
auto
definitely
drafted, I
another
think he'll
one of
be happy
those.
with his team.
A B plus one on that one. Let's get into Daddy Rike. I'm not gonna say the first part because I'm not trying to, we're not going
We'll
there.
filter
But
it out.
look, and I from the first two players I can see, I'm like, yeah, you probably got the best
He
at
was
the
the champion
positions.
for a reason last year.
Yes, yes, and he had a very solid draft season again. Aaron Rodgers, let's be real, that's Rodgers, Rodgers. That's it. That's all. Derrick Henry, he gonna stiff arm his way through the league yet again, as always. Ain't much gonna change. Now Joe Mixon, he is primed to have him a very solid season if all things line up for him. Adam Thielen's gonna benefit from more attention going to Justin Jefferson this season, especially after the season he had last year. They cannot ignore him. When you play Minnesota, you're gonna have a game plan for Justin Jefferson. If you don't, he's gonna smack you. He's gonna spank you. Tyler Lockett, he's another one of those guys that's very, very, very flexible. And then we have the best tight end, the most complete tight end in the game, in George Kittle. This dude does. There's no holes in his game. Uh,
And he's coming back
Ronald
healthy.
Jones. Yep. Ronald Jones is another one of those pickups where he has those games where he's hot and he's cold, and then he's off and he's on. So he's a great flex pickup. Steelers, yet again, their front seven is going to get to the quarterback, so you're going to have that nice pickup. Harrison Buckner is a very solid kicker pickup. Jerry Judy, I'm hating because I literally picked right after him, and I had him right on my queue. I was like, my finger was hovering over the
I
button.
wanted him too. Like I know you said Cortland Sutton, but I think he's the new number one. I think him and Teddy B gonna have a good relationship.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice out there. He's another one of those guys out there from Bama. You know how it goes with those guys. Daryl Henderson Jr. Very very nice complimentary back. I think they're going to use the running back by committee kind of approach out there in LA. Sean McVay is going to find interesting and exciting ways to get this guy the ball, especially out there.
It's just
Running
gonna
those.
so like I mentioned, he's got to be
Yeah,
healthy.
true. Very true. Very true. Logan Thomas.
He
Uh,
came on strong.
he really did. Here's where he has my most interesting pick. If
Mm-hmm.
anyone did pick him up,
Mm-hmm.
now according to
Speak on it.
this, only 15% of people believe in J-Bo. Okay, now if you don't believe in J-Bo, I believe he's going to be another one of those players that people are going to start picking up. Now the dude did go 30 for 30. Let's start with the first being 30. He threw for 30 touchdowns. He also threw for 30 interceptions. Now he did have that surgery. He got LASIK done on his eyes. He had to wipe off that Vaseline. He looked like he was out there with Vaseline over his eyes. But J-Bo is a very solid quarterback, and he's going out there with one of the top. Let's be real, probably the second best line in the game when it comes to pass blocking. He has great tackles out there protecting his blind side and his other side. Like he's gonna have protection, and he has a lot of weapons. He has a security blanket in AK that's, let's just be real, when in doubt, throw the AK. Michael Thomas, you can't guard Mike when he's healthy. You can't guard Mike, so he has weapons, and he also has another X factor in his corner, being Mr. Payton,
Yeah,
on
that's
top
gonna cut
of
down the
being
pick.
able. True. And on top of all that, he was able to sit behind Drew Brees for that time and be able to pick his brain. And you can please believe he's going to have him on speed dial when he needs, he's going to need some stuff. So please believe J-Bo is going to have a surprising year. Do I think he's going to have something crazy year? Maybe, maybe not, but he's going to surprise some people.
I think he keeps
Zach
the
Moss.
Saints playoff team.
True, 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 true. Zach Moss, solid pickup. Jamison Crowder, he's another one of those guys that's like, even last year, like he had games where you're like, wow, and then he also had games where you're like, wow. So he's kind of right there, then and there. I think this Giants pickup is one of those sleeper defense kind of pickups. I do like
Yes,
their
he's a
front
Giants
seven.
fan.
Yeah, definitely. But I do like their front seven. I do. I believe they have a lot. They have some guys out there that can stuff the run out there, and they can get to the pass rusher when everything lines up. Now, will they do that? But they have pieces. Another one of these, I would have to say, his best is his starting lineup, and he has some movable, flexible pieces out with his defense. I give that a solid B. Who's next on this? I
It'll be
think
the
this is
last team we
Metalhead.
talk about.
Mr. Mario.
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 Team Metalhead
It was,
24.
but it was me,
Ooh, I don't.
Mario.
Hold up. I'll talk on it a little bit. Um,
Where we're getting it.
if I was him, which it might be
Yeah,
him,
yeah,
I'd
true.
be a little angry at my team.
Why is that?
So I love your receivers. I love DeAndre Hopkins and DK Metcalf. They're gonna give you points. I don't know what Juju gonna do this year because he was pretty terrible last year. Ravens defense, I get it because he's a Ravens fan. Um, Tom Brady. We all pray on his downfall, right? Like, what is he? 75? He's gotta suck sooner or later, right? I just
Father
felt
Time has to catch up.
so, and I talked about it in my top 10 fantasy football quarterbacks. I had him on the brink of top 10, but he's a good quarterback. Is he a good fantasy football quarterback? Like I mentioned, those are two completely different things. Tom can get you 20 points, but there was last season he got you 5 points. And I don't know if you want that. And
You know, they
no, go on.
according to projections, you know, they have him at the right that 20 spot. So he's probably one of those, you know, safe bets, especially if you were trying to load up on the skill players, which it
Yeah,
seems like he was definitely trying to do. He also has Matt Ryan as a backup.
I hated Matt Ryan
And Matt
last year, but I had him in one of my leagues, and he was just terrible. He's due for a rebound year. I see what he
very
did
true.
with Hardman. I like it. The only thing, and I'm going to speak on this a lot too for waiver wires, and if you have McCole
Hmm.
Hardman or if you want to pick him up, he's 60% owned, so 40% of those leagues, he's wide open. He's a great dual threat. Like he'll take the top off. He tries to be like Tyreek. Unfortunately, I think that's all he brings his offense. Just keep your name out for Byron Pringle. That's all I'm going to say. I think he's our number 2 receiver.
Okay, okay. I like the Devin Singletary
Oh, I
pickup out
love
there
it.
in Buffalo. I like that
I think he's a
pickup.
1,000-yard rusher this year.
Yeah, let's see if they can get all those things to align. I like the Ravens defensive pickup. You know, those guys are they're dogs out there. They're
Hey,
dogs out there.
I want you to
They've
speak
always
on
been
it.
that.
The tight end.
We're-
You know better.
okay. Okay, now this okay, how do I do this? If it pans out, it works out good. He's a very solid guy around the red zone. For some odd reason, he finds a way to get into the red zone, and he did that very well last season. So Jarrett could potentially be hit or miss, but
Just look at these numbers
uh
over here.
exactly like man,
I think Mike
13%.
Gesicki needs to be your starting tight end. But hey,
13%. But let's cut it in there. The Chargers, we live around there. With Herbie last year, we kind of changed that a little bit, but we're known to be right there in that red zone. So having a guy like Cook could benefit Herbie out there very, very solidly. So, you know, that connection pans out well. He finds him. You can expect to have him a little, you know, a little solid game here and there. He's definitely due for one of those, you know, 2, maybe 3 touchdown games in the year. He can at least have 2 of those. He did it last season. He did it the season before. He's one of those guys. He'll have those games and you'll be like, man, you got
hey,
beat
I'm
by Cook. So
I'm
kind of
gonna
take it or
say
leave it.
this, and I'll probably regret it because he'll probably smack my team later in the season. But hey, I think he got the worst roster in the league.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot. He has holes. He has holes. This would
Like
be a C.
I
This
don't
would be a
know.
C.
Like I just talked about Javonte Williams, so I don't know about Melvin Gordon. I don't know how Tom is fantasy wise. I love your wide receivers, not Juju. You didn't make me buy into Jared Cook at all. Defense is
No,
solid. Your kicker's solid. There's potential, but
yeah,
yeah,
I do. I will say I like Michael Gallup. I like Michael Gallup out there with Dallas.
true.
I like him more than the other guys. Like he's always been that. He's been that guy since high school. He got to the college level and he was still that guy that, you know, when in doubt kind of guy. He finds the way to get open and then he's a sure catcher when he does when you're tossing him that ball that way. Kareem Hunt, hit or miss.
Yeah, his
That
team.
first week, I'm not gonna lie, that first week matchup is gonna be very interesting, especially if they give him some touches. You know, he's
I
still
might as well.
probably brewing
I
off
might
that.
as well speak on it because I spoke on it with you. So the Chiefs defense, this nine
Yeah, yeah.
percent in November, that's gonna be very much higher. I like it a lot. Um, y'all don't sleep on Stone Cold Jones. Put your
Stone,
$20 in
Stone,
now.
Stone Cold Joe.
Yeah, you heard it. You know what it is. He about to be the defensive player of the year.
Stone Cold Jones. And if you're not aware of who we're talking about
Chris
number
Jones.
9-5, the D tackle, Mr. Chris Jones. Even though he's not probably going to play, that inside role, he might be pushed out to the edge, which he tends to like that more. He likes his
Love it.
matchups on the outside. He loves them.
I'm
So,
just gonna say
you
this. He gonna get close to Strahan's record. Just
know.
gonna say it. Just gonna say it.
Ooh.
He gonna do
Okay.
it.
Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
then that
That's
secondary, Legarius Sneed, you'll know about him. He gonna be all pro. You already know about the Honey Badger. You gonna learn about Juan Thornhill, ball
Wait, hold
hawk.
up, pause. Sneed, all pro.
Yes.
Okay,
Did I
okay.
stutter at that part? I know I stutter here and there, but did I stutter there?
No, there was no stutter there. I heard you
Exactly.
correctly. I'm making sure that I heard that correctly. All right,
He was
that I
underrated as a rookie. Watch, he gonna be. I don't.
very true.
It don't make sense. There's not no Sneed Island, but we gonna find a name.
We go find something.
Yeah, and then
I wouldn't entirely disagree with that. The Chiefs defense is definitely more slept on, but it's the type of defense where they find a way when they need them the most to step up, they step up.
yep.
They did it all throughout the playoffs. That's basically how they made it to the Super Bowl. Let's be
So we got
real.
our
And the only reason they lost is because their line just couldn't hold it.
Mahomes was
But
the most impressive player and still didn't do anything.
we'll see. We'll see how this goes. They are definitely going to be the team to watch. Everyone around the league is going to be looking to see what they do.
Bam. Let's close this thing out.
Yeah. We can go ahead and close this part out. This is this was basically the intro segment into how the Chris and Tim, the Water Boys, the Water Boys, are going to tackle fantasy football out here. If you enjoyed at all our breakdowns and takes on our fantasy league and different strategies and different grades and certain sleepers and waiver pickups, definitely being that Gus Edwards pickup. Look to pick that guy up. That is definitely going to be a solid pickup. If you enjoy what it is that you like to see, we are the Water Boys. I am Tim.
And I am Chris. And with that, if you haven't already, it's going to get more interesting. It really will. So subscribe to the channel. It's going to be on YouTube. If you don't have and follow the pages on Facebook, Tim already mentioned it. It's Waterboys. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Twitter is really live. I'll be keeping up to date on all the latest NFL news and rumors. Don't miss out on any of that. But if you are
For
missing
sure,
out
sure.
on any videos, there's a little bell. It go ding every time a video come up. You won't miss out on any videos.